There we go. Do you see the full presentation? Thumbs up if you do. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, tonight we have an incredible lineup and an intimate conversation with Joel Anderson, the president and CEO of Lifestyle Living, as well as none other than Richard Dolan, a real estate investor, speaker, and coach. And we'll be introducing both of these incredible next level investors in just a moment. But a little bit about the Real Estate Wealth Lab, shall we? First of all, there is a disclaimer that none of the things that we're talking about today and forward-looking information and all that good stuff, there's more on our disclaimer on our website if you need be. But who are we? What is REWL? So Real Estate Wealth Lab is a lab. It truly is an area where we can incubate great ideas, research, data, analysis, and provide this pathway. Because we're not just about the research and data analysis, we're so much more. We're combining all of these to create artificial intelligence and things that I never heard about before, machine learning and all this amazing tech coming together from our incredible technology team, and really getting that all together so that you can actually find your way and taking out all of the guesswork and creating a real actionable future that's just completely personalized for where you are today and where you want to go to. And of course, for those of you who don't know, this is what you need to know now. Is that the Real Estate Wealth Lab, we just launched in September, and we are providing an open house. And we're doing this launch of a free trial that's September, October, November, and December. So that's 4.5 months. It's 3.5 months actually, but about 4 if you include them all. So we want to give you everything we've got as we're developing it and creating it for you. So if you don't know what we are all about, I'm going to tell you right now that you have to come out on next Wednesday, same time, same bat channel, and we are going to provide our orientation to everything that's REWL. But let me give you a little teaser and taste of it right now. So it's an all access trial and you get access to all of our events. In October, we've had 2, November, 3 events, and December, 2 events. And I'll give you more on that in a moment. But why join a free trial? Well, the question I think, by the way, and I am not in sales, I'm the research, I'm Chief Intelligence Officer, but why you want to join our free trial is because you will become automatically registered to all of our events. We're going to get you lots of information. You're going to receive our weekly real estate intelligence newsletter, which is very, very interesting. If I do say so myself, I'll show you more about that in a moment. And you get access to our members portal and our service team. So what does that look like? Yes, you get archives and recorded, and all, by the way, this is being recorded. So you get recorded events, you get previous newsletters. So since our inception and our inaugural event in September, access to our tools and calculators. And for those who don't know me, for those who do know me, I'm also known as a spreadsheet goddess. Thank you for those of you who have dubbed me that. But for those of you who don't, thanks for the thumbs up, Naran. And for those of you who don't, I am the Chief Intelligence Officer at REWL. And I love data, and our research team and our research lab is filled with individuals who want to give you as many tools as you can possibly, and research as you in the Venn diagrams. You got it, Tara, thank you. And we want to give you so much. So we are going to make sure that you get access to our tools and calculators like you've never seen before. Those spreadsheets are now online, which is really, really cool, and more to come. You'll also have access to individualized investor profiles and assessments. So not only that, but also your portfolio. So whether you're, just starting out, but for most of you, you've got one or you've got many, and then we'll be able to provide a diagnosis assessment of your portfolio. So this is a sample of the members only newsletter. Real intelligence right here. Now you might wonder, okay, cannabis? What the heck does that have to do with real estate? That's exactly our job at the Real Estate Wealth Lab, to make those connections for you and understand where there's opportunity that you might not have thought of before, of industries that you haven't thought of before, of ways of bringing, thanks, Wendy, of ways of bringing in tenants that you hadn't thought of before. So all kinds of different headlines and data and surveys and and reports and you name it. And we bring it to you and tell you what it means. And this team, the Real Estate Wealth Lab team, keeps us honest about making sure that we're always diligent about telling you what it means to you and your real estate portfolio. So thank you, everyone. Our real estate wealth lab products members also get these kinds of calculators. So I am not going to go through these all now, but I just want to fast forward and show you that there's a massive analytic calculation laboratory that you can have access to. And these are some more of them. And then there's more. But what I want you to do right now is save these dates, because as part of your free trial, you get all of these dates and events coming to you. So in November, it's November 10th. Today, you're here. Thank you. The 17th and the 24th. In December, the 15th and the 22nd. You're going to see a theme here. Basically, start ticking off your Wednesdays, because we're going to be around, available for you on Wednesdays going forward. So today, we've got our Market Leaders Lab. This is what that timeline is. So this is what we're going to be discussing at some of these events. On the 17th, our second event in your free trial, if you're just starting today, will be the Community Lab. And this is where there's going to be a REWL orientation. What are all these calculators that you're talking about? What are all these tools? And we're also going to do a very cool breakout discovery style World Cafe. And if you've never participated in a World Cafe, I highly recommend it, because we get to collaborate and build on one another and get to know each other really well. Our focus is going to be on what next level investors need. What do you need in order to bring your portfolios, your real estate to the next level? And we will be working on that and incorporating your feedback to deliver it to you. Is that cool or cool? Pop that in the chat. Do you think that's a cool idea? Right on. Well, I don't know. Do you think it's a cool idea? I want to see a little yes in there. Super cool. Okay, right on, Richard. Cindy, great. Mona, awesome. Okay, so we're on the right track. We're working with you for you. And on the November 24th, we'll have a research lab. This is coming up pretty quickly. So definitely for those of you who are considering investing in US real estate, you want to be here today, and you definitely want to be here on the November 24th event. We are going to be looking, as always, during our research labs at macroeconomics and key indicators in the US and Canada. But we're going to be focusing hard on US real estate in November. So how to invest in it, whether you're Canadian or US, we're North American at the Real Estate Wealth Lab. Why would one invest in US real estate? And also talking a little bit about the benefits of diversification. There are a lot, and we're going to mention some of those. And we're going to have your market analysis. This is where we do a deeper dive at that city level so that you get all of the key indicators of that particular market. And our focus this month will be on Hawaii, the state of Hawaii, and particularly the cities of Honolulu and Maui is an island. I get it, but there you are. We're going to talk about Maui as well. And moving forward, on December 8th, our next market leaders, we're actually going to be resuming this in January. We want to spend we're taking a little bit of time right now so that we can create all of what you need for next level investors. So we won't be having an event on December 8th, but we will be resuming again with that community lab on the December 15th. Again, we're going to make this conversational, and you'll have breakouts and you'll have opportunities to network with next level investors about important topics that are important to us as next level investors. And our research lab for December 22nd, we hope you'll join us. And I'd love to hear from you. What markets would you like for us to do in our next market analysis? Pop it in the chat. What one would you like? What markets what would you like for us to research for you? Oh, right on. Thank you. SC, August. Is that South Carolina? Nova Scotia, Sarah, Miami, we got you. Oh, yes. Okay, South Carolina, perfect. Costa Rica, Lisa, love it. Arizona, Florida, perfect. Vancouver Island, Edmonton. You guys, this is all exactly what we can do for you. Thank you for popping these in the chat. As other markets come to you, please put them in the chat, because we will take all of this and your feedback. And guess what? We're going to get to it. Eventually, we are going to absolutely do all of these markets for you. Right on, SK. All right, so again, I mentioned our community lab, November 17th. Please come out and help shape our community. And our team, we've got an incredible team who have helped create the Real Estate Wealth Lab. And again, I'm Jennifer Hunt, the Chief Intelligence Officer. And I think I might have skipped over that pretty quickly in the beginning, but thank you for being here. Naran, we've got you on the line. I see you. You're our Chief Leadership Officer. Thank you for waving. Vincent is our Chief Technology Officer. Yan is our Chief Marketing Officer, and Paige, our Head of Customer Service. Thank you all for waving and for being here. And Paige, an extra kudos for you because you were definitely dancing with me pretty hard at the beginning, so that's awesome. So thank you. All right, please follow us on Instagram at Real Estate Wealth Lab. And there's a couple of chat rules. We definitely encourage you to ask questions and saying hi and engaging and having that and sharing your feedback, your thoughts, your ideas. What would you like? And of course, be respectful, be courteous, be kind. That goes without saying, but there's a couple of don'ts. And the don'ts are please do not solicit and please do not sell. And housekeeping, this is being recorded. So just letting you know that that's happening. And as a registered guest in our free trial, this will also be made available to you at your beck and call. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our Market Leaders Lab. Thank you for bearing with all those housekeeping ideas, but and I'm just going to get Joel and spotlight him so that we can see him. There we are. There, Joel. Can everyone see Joel now? Perfect. Excellent. I'm going to turn off my screen. Sorry, not my screen. Stop sharing for a moment. So that we can see you guys. Can everyone see? Yeah. Nope. Spotlight. And spotlight. Joel. Pardon me. So thank you very much for joining us. Richard, Joel, there we are. We're all in the house now.
You did it. You did it, you spreadsheet goddess.
Yeah, I'm not a tech goddess, that's for sure, but thank you.
That's all right.
Wonderful.
But first of all, it's so good to see, I see Doug. What's up, Doug? It's good to see Lateef and Steve Dick. What's up, man? And Cindy. It's good to see so many good old friends. Like, oh my God, Danny Janot, Paulo D'Angelo, Vincent, Nick Lojo, Andrew. What's up, man? Kennedy Gates in the house. What's up, August? Always comes after July. What's up, you bearded bastard? You look how good you look. My God, you have assembled such an incredible group of Dan Heon's in the room. And Alan, Aman, Lisa, what's up, Wendy, Imran, and JM. We got Andy, what's up, big guy? Good to see Don Ross from Saskatchewan representing in the house. So great to see so many familiar faces and names and just real good souls, good people, good investors. Jennifer, thanks for having us here.
Well, thank you for being here, Richard, and thank you, Joel. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in for a real treat today, U.S. real estate investing and a specialty niche with seniors care and seniors living with Joel. If I may, Joel, I'd love for you to just say a little bit about yourself and introduce who you are to our fine folks here tonight.
Well, good evening. It's great to be able to be part of this group. And I don't know many people like Rich does, but I by just acquaintance of a good friend like Rich and getting to know Jennifer, I'm certain I'm in a good crowd tonight. So it's great to be part of this. And when Rich originally reached out to me about this and in the discussion, they said, yeah, you're going to get involved with a conversation at 7:30 at night with 50 people. And I was like, what is going on? Are they on the other side of the world or what? So it's great to be able to see everyone being really active and especially in the active adult for us for real estate in the U.S. I've been in Florida, Sarasota, Florida for about a little bit over the last decade and 26 years working in senior living, which is probably not the sexiest industry compared to maybe other aspects of industry. But it's my passion and I love it. I actually, my undergrad as well as my graduate degree is in senior living services and public policy management leadership. And so from an early on stage of my life, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I actually did an internship in pediatrics for healthcare administration and realized that I rather celebrate the end of life for individuals than dealing with so many challenges with sometimes young kids going through difficulties. I was actually with Shriners Hospital, so for orthopedics and early on. So was the youngest licensed administrator in the state of Kentucky before moving to Florida. That was home at the ripe age of 24 years of age. So I'm 50 now, and so
what? You do not, I would never have guessed, Joel.
Yep, sure.
My word. All right.
I could have sworn he looked not a day over 62 personally.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Well, you know, we may be able to figure out the fountain of youth one of these days of working in this field, but it's certainly not. It's a hard profession, but I love what I do, and so nonetheless, I mean, I've worked in, whenever I first got started in senior living, I was actually in skilled nursing. So most of you all understand skilled nursing homes. And when I got involved into it, I said, something has to change for me to stay in this, because I could not handle institutionalized care, and said that there's got to be something better for senior living. In the late 90s, I began writing legislation for assisted living and sat on the national committee that passed legislation in multiple states in the US for assisted living, which was the most robust residential-like senior living. And it defied everything that was part of institutionalized care.
Joel.
And then eventually now I've worked in the active adult full continuums of care. And the difference between what I've learned over my 26 years of doing this, my passion resides in caring for people long-term, not just short-term care like post-acute care for senior living or hospital care was. In our world, we serve older adults for 10 to 12 years at our active living communities. And they're lifestyle-driven, resort-style kinds of experiences that allow people to be able to relieve themselves of maintenance and caring for their homes and everything else, that we do that work and give them 5-star dining experiences and everything.
Joel, I'm gonna, this is amazing, because there is so much amazing about you, and we've got an hour here to dive into it, and especially with regard to marrying passion with a niche market and your market analysis and all of that. And thank you for being here. Yep. And I want to make sure that we take an opportunity to dive in. But before we go into all of the nitty gritty, so what I'd like to do is give the opportunity for Richard Dolan to also introduce himself, and then how we got connected, Joel, of course, is through Richard. So Richard, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment to introduce yourself, as well as introducing how you came to know Joel and bring him towards us.
No, you bet. And first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for inviting me. It's amazing that, and I think if you guys are writing notes right now, I'd write this down, because what Jennifer has been able to establish through the creation of this thing called Real Estate Wealth Lab is what I'm going to coin as being globally intelligent. So as an investor, I started in Canada many years ago, and I realized that the smarter I am about what money is doing in real estate around the world, those worldwide trends are my friends. So I do want to know what's happening south of the border. I want to know what's going on in Europe. I want to understand what's happening in Africa and that continent. I want to know what's going on in the domain of investing that I'm putting my money, funds I raise, or joint venture capital into. So you have established, my dear, the very first enabler of being globally intelligent. So I just want to make sure I put that on the deck. So bravo to you. I know that you were working on this since May. I don't know what kind of breakfasts you eat or what kind of fuel you put in your tank, but to launch this company in September with such an incredible company and in the company of great, well-minded, well-heeled investors is just a really great feat, because we're all uber connected, but just because we're connected doesn't make us smarter. You know, collaborating, creating new successes for each other is what this is all about. So bravo to you, your team, and all those that are here. For me, I mean, aside from introducing myself as the name I'm known by, which you've already declared a number of times, I mean, I see a lot of familiar folks here that might remember me as the former president and co-owner of a thing called REWL, the Real Estate Investment Network. And it's been some time since I last saw a lot of people here. And for me, it's a real bittersweet. I feel like it's been too long that's gone by since I've seen a lot of these familiar faces. Thank God a lot of you look just the same as you were. The only person that's age is actually maybe Joel. But aside from that, and all kidding aside, for me, I know that for those who know that my departure was quite brisk, it was just basically because I quite frankly made a mistake. I made a mistake in thinking to myself that I was no longer making an impact in REWL as the president. And how I made money in real estate was no longer seen as a compliment, but maybe a conflict. And that was just my perspective. So as I head to Joel, what I want to make sure everyone understands, which is the context for tonight, is I headed south. I grabbed a few great, courageous, and committed friends of mine who are also members of REWL. Friends of mine like Rob Biaketa and Ken Klinoftakis and Naran and others to go down south and work with a friend of mine named Grant Cardone, who at the time was a real heavyweight champion of all things real estate investing. But I mean, gosh, before I go to that and why I went down there, Jennifer, you know this. When I first started with REWL, I brought U.S. real estate to REWL members. I was selling U.S. real estate at $91,000 a door in 2008. There's the book. That's right. The buying guide for U.S. Canadian. Yep, you got it. Do you know that those properties right now, I have investors right now selling those properties at $1.2 million. I mean, back then, when I became the president of REWL, I was promoting Ontario and pre-construction condos. And it was said that Ontario was a market that was going to pop. There's no way this market can handle that inventory. And right at that time, I was investing in high-rise condominiums with my friend Hunter Milbourne, chairman of Sotheby's, at an average of $350,000 per door. I mean, we're currently selling those doors right now for about $1 million. I mean, just let's put that in perspective. Even raising funds, the average bear who started raising funds, like all of us real estate investors, I have friends who are starting to sell those books of businesses called assets under management at about 400 million. And in English, they're taking paychecks of about 30 to 40 million dollars. So I'm not suggesting that, we missed the boat at REWL. I'm not suggesting that someone didn't listen to me at REWL. What I'm saying is that I think I was just built to be in the US. And so as a result, here I am. I'm born and raised in Toronto, but I was really truly groomed to be an American player. And so when I called up friends of mine that were athletes and powerful CEOs and C-suite folks and said, look, I need to reinvent myself, reapply myself, I didn't have to look too far to find David Falk, who's the man behind Jumpman Inc., Michael Jordan's agent, the man who caused and created such an epic career for him as both his partner, but also his friend, acting as an agent, began to tell me where he was putting all of his clients and his own money in as a long-term investment. And that is how I came to really appreciate the active adult care communities. So that's how I met Joel, and we'll get into that in a moment. But Joel is an investor, a developer. He is the curator, the manager, and then the operator for these type of communities, which I think all you guys can appreciate. It's one thing to put money in deals, but gosh, to run them as well, to manage them, to collect dough, to pay taxes, to make sure they run efficiently, they generate the yield, you're delivering your promises to investors. Show of hands, that's a lot of work to do, right? It is a full-time job that I happily download to Joel. So Joel Anderson is not only the real Peter Lynch, if I can date myself for a moment. Peter Lynch was the man who was known as One Up on Wall Street, the founder of the Magellan Fund, Fidelity Investments. He looked to his kids to find great investment ideas. Joel Anderson's that Peter Lynch, the Warren Buffett, if it were, of the adult active care community type developments. So here's a man I trust and I deflect to. So we launched a fund. We've been raising money together across family offices, endowment funds, C-suite officials, but right across North America. So I'm delighted to be in business with them. So a bit of a long-winded way of saying where I've been, why I'm here, but ultimately why I'm really humbled to be invited here and to be working alongside Joel here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Richard, and thank you again, Joel. I mean, this conversation about U.S. real estate is for Canadians, but also for Americans as well. And we talk about that too. It's one that's been a bit, it kind of out of the Canadian purview, and I started my investing in real estate in the US in 2000, and my properties have appreciated 285%. And that's about market analysis, but that's also about a different kind of diversification. And that's going to bring us right to today. And we're going to talk about some questions about, why US, why have you decided to be there? Of course, Joel, you're from the US, but also about picking your niche. This is about diversification, I would say. And so let's start this conversation about diversification of yes, go ahead, Richard.
Well, what I'll do is I'm going to say something as a point that if you're making notes right now, write this down, but it's a segue to you, Joel. So I'm going to throw it your way, okay? But I'm going to set this up. Jennifer, I've read all your research. In fact, I'm a proud subscriber to your free membership. So thank you very much for that. And here's what I've known of you, because we've worked together. And I mean, I love you, I trust you, I respect you, and in that order. And what I know is that when you look at the economics of investing in real estate, demographics isn't seriously considered as an economic driver. And as a result, we are really undermining the investment opportunity and responsibility as investors that provides, because depending on the stage of life human beings hit, it creates a different state of investment that it creates. So now as I throw to you, Joel, you're right now at really not just the front end of that, but you're a market leader and you see it firsthand. Do you agree with my statement? And if so, why?
Yeah. So I think there's two things that I would mention about that is that it's so underserved, because people like simple real estate without the human capital component in the service delivery of senior living. So it becomes very complex, and people get nervous about what that really looks like, or they look at more traditional styles of senior living and they assume that everything is like that. What we do within that active adult sector only serves about 5% of the overall senior adult population, but it is the highest age and income, well, let's just say highest of income sector that really is a planner, and they want to make sure that their needs are taken care of long term. So they're willing to expense and make those decisions to be able to move into our communities for that. When you look at the age demographic change, Rich, and I know we've talked about this, so our sector, really everybody says, okay, well, the baby boomers have been part of some faint knowledge that people are just continuing to build senior living properties over the last couple of decades and thinking that they're just going to build it and they will come. We are very strategic in the way that we define our properties, their locations, and do a lot of the market forensics on the front end. So we know we have a demographic to be able to support at the price points that we actually have. But when we look at the aging population of 75 plus years of age, and particularly Florida, obviously is a destination retirement for most seniors. But overall in the US, we're seeing a double of aging population of 75 plus years of age to occur by 2040. What do you do with that? What do you do with that? I mean, we can't even fathom that. I mean, because you just can't build enough doors to be able to accommodate that. So imagine somebody who's a planner and has the wealth to be able to choose where they live. They're going to make sure that they get to the best quality properties, which is why we think that what we do is going to be very unique.
Now, Joel, that's kind of like the game of musical chairs, right? And you all remember the musical chairs? All thumbs up if you guys remember that game. I mean, it looks like the kind of game Steve Dick plays on Saturday nights. I mean, it's the game where, you play the music and then when the music stops, then you got to grab a chair and whoever's left standing is out of the game. Well, imagine for a moment, you've got 74 million people playing musical chairs, but there's only 14 million chairs. So that tells you that when the music stops, inescapably, most people will be left standing without a chair. So what does that tell you? You got to get in the chair manufacturing business or in the room and board business of that demographic. So what I found profound when working with you, Joel, is that, so there's three things I want to say. And if you're writing down notes, write this down. Number one is Florida State, I love because that's where most of America is migrating to, especially the Eastern Seaboard. Now, some people might say, hold on a second there, Slick. What about the Northern Americans? I mean, you ain't going to see Montana folk come down all the way to Florida. Not necessarily. Here's why. Because of the fact that there was a huge influx of Generation X. So those born between, let's say, if they were 35 to 47 years of age, you're this Generation X where I'm down there because I'm not going to get personal tax. I can move and get my home to be creditor proof. So in that state, my home is creditor proof. Wealth has relocated there and almost now next to permanently. Reason is because number two, we get to work remote more now than ever before. This whole idea of Zooming was a thing that we knew of, but only now have normalized since the pandemic, right? The only things we've not normalized is dating via Zoom. I mean, some people still have hired others to walk with their Fitbit on just to track their steps. I mean, but the reality here is that the pandemic's changed the game. But the third point is Florida State, from that development perspective and given that demographic, Joel, is still somewhat affordable. That's where yield is. That's where a great return on your investment exists. There's still good margin there to be made. And in Canada, I reside in Toronto. I'm here right now in Toronto. I'm in my Toronto home. I can't find yield. I raise millions of dollars. I can't place that money in real estate and look at my investors and say, wow, we're going to do really, really well. It's hard. It's hard to deploy that.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Joel? Or Jennifer, you want to just dive in there for a second?
Yeah, if I could, I'd love to just bring it in additional the Real Estate Wealth Lab conversation so that I can provide context, because this conversation is freaking smart. And where Joel, because I had the pleasure of having a conversation with Richard and Joel prior to this, so that was great. And Joel has some pretty ridiculously amazing insights, but I want to put them in the context, if I may, for REWL. So for those of you who have been around and checked us out, you'll understand that we've got the real estate cycle formula. And we've redefined those leading indicators, the economics, the jobs, and the population, because they have different levers. They're different levers that have different weight at different times for different product, for different locations. And Joel has found a way to completely leverage exactly that and create a niche product based on population, based on demographics, as Richard was saying. And in addition, at our last, which I find fascinating about the Florida market, is that at our last Market Leaders Lab, we had Marshall Wilkinson on, and he spoke about the Great Migration. And these are what I call, and what we call at REWL, Millennials. They're typically the folks who are the older Gen Zs. The younger millennials, they're moving to the Sun Belt. But what we're also seeing as part of the Great Migration is exactly this: the older community, the baby boomers, who are also moving. So those are the two little population, not little, little and expanding populations to leverage. Yes.
And the comment I'll make about that, to again, not always set up Joel, but of course we work together in so many ways. So it's good to do this. And it's so good to see Karen, Eric Peters. How you doing, guys? Long time. I mean, for me, if you're someone who raises money or tries to find joint venture or capital partners, check this out based on your statement, Jennifer. There's a lot of young folks who are trying to see, hey, talk to their parents, even their grandfolks, say, look, why don't we get you relocated? Get you a head start while the prices are low and the supply is ready. Get you into this great lifestyle, and let's free up some capital so I can buy my first home, get me an investment portfolio started. So that living gift or a financial legacy can get to work now while moving those pieces sooner. It's a wonderful double-ended conversation to have financially in families who've got a maturing folk. Joe, would you agree?
Yep, absolutely. And there's just one other thing I've mentioned. You know, we're not trying to be serving the masses. I mean, we're very boutique collection of membership-based, exclusive, high-end properties. What you mentioned, Jennifer, about how for people who are moving into the state, which, by the way, there's about 1,000 people per day net in-migration happening in Florida. But the thing is most often people are coming down, the retirees are coming down as snowbirds first, and then they choose to maintain their permanent residency in Florida. They've now become a real estate owner, and then they sell their real estate that is appreciating. I mean, the real estate market is crazy in Florida right now, just as much as it was probably pre-Lehman Brothers crisis. And what we're seeing is people are being able to sell their home at a very nice premium, buy into our communities, paying their membership fee, and then basically they use their fixed income to pay their maintenance fees at the property, and their estate gets a refund of their buy-in fee when the next member comes in. And we're talking, like in our situation, like our St. Petersburg project sits on the coastal waterway looking over the Gulf of Mexico. Our penthouse unit is like $1.2 million, and our buy-in gives them exclusive privileges, membership-based privileges on our campus, which I'm talking multiple dining venues, a day club for a rooftop bar, pool, cabanas, the whole fitness and wellness program.
Because adults like to play too, right,
That's
Joel?
right. So here's the thing, Jennifer, that's exactly right. When we start thinking about our market, here's what the consumer wants. They want individualized experiences. They want a sense of belonging. So that's the reason why we create this membership exclusive kind of experience. They want encore living. They're not going somewhere to die. They want next chapter of their life. They want choice, flexibility, on-demand services. And so they want to feel, and I would say this, COVID-19 has created a perfect storm for us to redefine the way that we serve older adults. And they want to avoid isolation and the loss of independence, which we think that a lot of things that happened during the pandemic has manifested that in volumes. But also, I would say the last piece is we give them lifestyle-driven experiences with an underpinning of healthcare when they need it. So we actually have membership-exclusive healthcare on the campus. So as they age over that 8, 10, 12 years period of time, they transition over into our healthcare, but we know them because we've been serving them individually over that 7 or 8 years before they even need healthcare. And so we can sell that, particularly with, and this is another thing that really makes our market very different than what it was even 2 or 3 decades ago. Imagine the number of baby boomers that are retiring that have no children or no spouse. And they're looking for people to be able to make sure that their needs are taken care of. And I promise you, they're not looking to their kids if they have kids. And by the way, of the 55 to 64-year-old population that's continuing to obviously age, 65 to 74 population, between those two age sectors, 16 to 20% of those age sectors don't have kids. They're childless. And so they're going to need communities like us to make sure that they're taken care of physically, but that their finances and everything are managed properly, so no one takes advantage of them.
Joel, what I love about I want to paint the picture for people, because this is really important when we think about adult children and the need for whether they've got them or not, or whether the adult children can do it. I got to be careful about what I say right now because my dad is on this call. Hi, Dad, love you, and maybe this is for you too. I don't know, but at any rate, what's really important is to get some context about what you do and what you offer, because it is different. When I was learning about this lifestyle and how you operate, it's really about the lifestyle, the resorts, the beautiful experiences, but it's also, if I understand correctly, that the owners, the people who live there, who your clients, they actually are on a life lease. Is that correct?
Life lease. That's correct.
So that's a really important context of selling off that real estate, selling off their other assets, then buying into this product, this lifestyle that's underpinned, I love that, underpinned by caretaking in a life lease, so that they have the capital to pay for, as we know, people are aging longer and longer. So I just wanted to provide that context, because otherwise we might think, oh, well, you're selling a property over here to get a property over here. But in fact, it expands their capital and equity throughout their lifetime, but having the services that you provide.
Well, it does, because, you know, one of the things is when they come in as snowbirds, they may have bought real estate that they're going to sell maybe double the price of what they bought it for. So when they pay the buy-in fee to our community, it's like it really didn't cost them anything. And they really never spend down the asset for what they made on the premium, because they get the refund back, or their estate does, so they can pass it on to their kids or whoever, when we actually receive the next entrance fee in. So, and then they're using their fixed income, whether that's drawing Social Security, pension, and a drawdown maybe off of their retirement savings, to pay their maintenance fees at the community. So it's a great investment, because, you know, if you look at rental communities, somebody to be able to afford to be able to have these kinds of luxuries that we think that we have at our properties, somebody would have to pay $12,000 to $15,000 a month to be able to live there. And they still wouldn't have the accommodations. Our units go up to that penthouse unit that I was talking about is 2,400 square feet, you know, literally a 3-bedroom unit with 2.5 baths and a den. I mean, you know, that's not much downsizing for an older adult. Versus if you probably looked at a lot of the rental communities, they're moving into 600 to 800 square feet units.
Yeah. So this is interesting, because there's a couple of places that I want to take this conversation. Because of what I'm hearing you say, and Richard, and how you got started in US real estate investing, you kind of mentioned a little bit, but you were also investing in real estate a long time ago, before the book and whatnot. And what I would like to do is it's important, I think, for all of us to understand your passions behind it. And Joel, I'm going to circle back to your passion and how you got started. I'm going to start with Richard, because I think it's important for us to understand that, because I have the question that I'm going to ask you later, Joel, about aging in place and what that looks like.
Well,
so Richard, go ahead.
Here's what I'll say. A long time ago, I wrote this book. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's called Life Rich Real Estate, an investment philosophy based on the phenomenon of people's pursuit of place with purpose. Okay. So what this whole book asserted was invest in places that people are going to head to feel happier in life before they get there. So wherever they're heading to really live their best life ever, and for the rest of the time they've got, invest there before they get there. So Life Rich Real Estate was born well before the US property move that I made. So the US property move I only made was only because of the credit crisis, the financial fiasco that Joel and his folks started down in the States. So as a result of that created a huge distress situation. And that's when I got into the discounted real estate space. Out of that's how I came to find REWL, by the way. So I discovered REWL, and REWL discovered me out of that movement. Now, what's interesting is I would say I'm passionate. I don't want to speak for Joel or his strategic partners and investors. I mean, there's one thing to be both profitable and purposeful in a portfolio. If I'm able to have a portfolio of properties that links both profit and purpose, I mean, that's a blessing. I mean, what a real double whammy. Y'all get what I'm saying? Double okay? So like for me, that's amazing. But I have to admit that when I started in the real estate investing business in the US, I was only there for profit, right? There was no purpose. But today, when you see the kind of distress that people go through, really thinking of an uncertain future, I have to say that it really brings a smile to my face knowing that we're doing good work. Now, I'll say this in conclusion before I pass on to Joel. For anybody here that raises money, for anybody here that's trying to rally investors or get joint venture money, just show of hands. I want to see who you are. If that's of interest to you, like August, I got you, Rob, Nawam, Shalom, my brother. What's up, Paulo, Tara? That's a lot of people. Most people here are raising money. Here's my point. When you have a narrative like the one Joel manufactures, where I'm able to speak to, if I just may say this with all due respect, let's call it old money. If I'm talking to people in let's say their 60s, 70s, or 80s, and they're really not even buying green bananas anymore. They're just really just wanting to live a particularly certain future in the foreseeable time ahead. When you talk about where they're going to move, where they're going to go, you create an equitable event. You cause a reason for them now to say, maybe we should sell the house. Maybe we should, in fact, move down to Florida or Arizona or California or Hawaii, for that matter. Wherever they get to pack the Speedo and sit out in the sun in the middle of a January anywhere, right? That's the whole point. Obviously, no one's really laughing here because everyone's like, yeah, of course. What else would you be doing, right, Doug? Of course, where else will I wear that damn Speedo I bought years ago? So all I'm saying is that if that's the case, for me, I'm excited about talking about what lifestyle, an active adult care community conversation looks like, because it brings the whole family together, where now I can create an equitable event, and out of that will be money that needs a new home. So I can invest it in Alberta or Saskatchewan or BC or Hawaii, or into a project or into another property. But you need to create a reason for people to move, because when people move, their money moves. And that's the opportunity. Joel, what is it that lights you up about what you guys do down at Lifestar? How would you answer that question that Jennifer had asked?
Well, what I think we do the best in answering a need is that we provide peace of mind. I mean, at the end of the day, there is an intangible value for the amount of peace of mind that we bring to the consumer that we serve. And Jennifer, I know that this is about real estate tonight, but I mean, bricks and mortar is important, finishes, lifestyle residences, the condo style residences that we do and everything. But the experiences that we create, just like a Starbucks or some craft experience, that is every venue that we try to create in the design of our communities. And the peace of mind component also rolls into knowing I've got somebody to support me as I age in place. We do health planning when somebody moves in, and we meet with them on a routine basis. And in the event that they have an elective surgery or they go out for an emergency, we follow them to the hospital. We use our health navigator system to go visit them at the hospital and work with the discharge planners to make sure that they get back to home. Now, if I'm the adult child, because I used to say the adult children used to live up in the Northeast of the United States, and the parents were here in Florida, so it's a plane flight, right? We know kids are all over the globe now. And serving as a liaison for the adult child and the parent, I don't even know if you can put a price tag on the value of that. And so that's what gives me, I'm proud of what we do, because we really, and here's the other thing. When the adult children come to visit, it's not about what do I need to take care of mom's house? Do we need to get work on a health or get her to appointments or him to appointments, whatever it is. It literally is come and enjoy the parent and child experience like two friends, and because they feel good that mom's needs or dad's needs are being taken care of. And by the way, I should say this, 60% of the people that move in are couples to our communities. And the reason that happens oftentimes is because one or the other has experienced a health event or a health scare, that the other one looks across the room and says, I don't want you to be my caregiver and you don't want me to be your caregiver. So let's move somewhere in the event that something happens. And that's a big trigger. That again, it's a planned experience. It's not wait till a crisis happens and then make the move. So that's the real estate component, because people choose a retirement community, and I say that 55 and older community or golf community because they want an experience. It's no different than ours at our communities. They want an experience, but they want the assurance that they're taken care of as they get older as well. I hope that answers the question. So
it does. And what I would love for what I'm hearing is there's a sense of purpose, and that there's a sense of experiences and lifestyle. And I want to take that a little bit deeper with you, Joel, in particular, is that this whole idea of seniors care and creating an incredible experience really stemmed from an earlier experience of yours. And I'd love for you to share that with us. And I'd love everyone here to hear it, because Richard shared about something that was a passion for him, of creating experiences and having people live purposeful lives, and having real estate help back that. And for me, it's very similar in terms of creating that lifestyle experience and a vacation lifestyle experience for individuals backed by real estate. And Joel, I'd love for everyone to hear, because this is how you can also go next level with your real estate, is what drives you, what's passionate, what do you want to offer, how do you want to create value in the world? And please, without further ado, Joel, go ahead.
Are we talking about the early life experience of Joel Anderson?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. We're going way back.
So, I will tell everybody, my parents moved from southeastern Kentucky to Lexington, Kentucky when I was 16. And so I was able to barter with them to remain with my grandmother so I could finish out high school. So I spend the summer in Lexington and buy my car, and I go back, and I'm thinking this is going to be this great senior experience. Over that summer, my grandmother trips over a vacuum cleaner cord and breaks her hip. So I went from thinking that I was going to have this great senior experience and be able to do whatever I wanted to after school because I didn't have a mom or dad. I actually went home every evening, and I was a full-time caregiver for my grandmother, so I could give my grandfather respite. And so she was bedridden my entire senior year in high school. And so that experience of going through that, I know that God put me through that experience for a reason. And, you fill the gaps, because I know that me being there for my grandmother, because my mom and dad were an hour and a half away, gave my mom peace of mind. And so, I think that's one way that I feel like everybody's called to do something. And this is my personal ministry. And it's not separation of professional and personal. It's all about it. And I think my relationship with Rich, he knows this. What we were trying to do is create a very small circle of people who believe in this, not just because it's profitable, because it creates social good, and we can feel good about what we're choosing to do with our lives, because we know we're making an impact on others. So in a very positive way.
Thank you. And I hope that resonates with others here tonight when we think about our calling. And this isn't necessarily about intuition or life and design and whatnot, but it is about what works for you, and only you can provide it. And following that kind of guidance really can support creating visions and experiences and ecosystems, if you will, Joel and Rich, of whole new ways of looking at real estate and investing in real estate and providing something and a service that's just remarkable.
And it's true, because right now, and a lot of us see this on the silver screen on TV during mini screen streaming services, that we are becoming a very heightened socially responsible mankind. I mean, being socially responsible is at the top of the list of all things that people are looking at, whether they're social movements, whether it's climate change, whether it's equal rights, and et cetera. So understanding your financial ministry, Joel, right? I think there's something about being very evangelistical, my friends, where if you're raising money, looking for JV partners, or wanting to really, cause and create through a financial conversation, some money movement, try to solve a problem that's confronting the family that is imminently and inescapably on the horizon. So even though that may not be your job, it may not be your gig, it may not be your shtick, but if you're solving a problem for people, then I'm going to tell you that you're going to grow richer in the things that matter. Not just raising money, moving deals, closing joint ventures, but also making sure that you help people take care of the next best chapter in their life.
And I love that, Rich. It's creating value and solving a problem for the future. And what I understand, Joel, in terms of having individuals even moving into lifestyle properties earlier so that they can, because this is a major trend. If you've heard me talk about it a lot, everyone, for the last couple of years, is aging in place, and multi-generational housing is on the rise. This is another version of that to create more independence. And so I'd like for you to talk about that, your philosophy about aging in place, Joel, and what supports you have for that in your communities.
Well, I appreciate that. And you know, Rich and I have talked a lot about this, and just really from our design approach. I mean, the pandemic has been the perfect storm to be able to redefine the way that we care and allow people to age in place. Probably like Canada, also in the States, if you had licensed healthcare, assisted living, skilled nursing, there were lockdowns, months of lockdowns, where loved ones could not see their parents, you know, someone that we were caring for. And honestly, in my 26 years of doing this, it was the most defeating thing that I had ever experienced. Our communities, not besides the way that we design them to be very proactive in the way that we create healthy and safe living environments for communal living, our goal is to create portability of healthcare. And that means that we can be able to serve our consumers in their condo style residences, and only if they need around the clock care and attendance is when they may need to move over into our assisted living. We do know.
I want to just jump in there, but notice that that's moving over. You've created so that they're not moving their community.
That's right.
like that is huge. Gives me goosebumps. Go ahead.
And we talk about that because we pride ourselves in saying, listen, we came to know you when you were fully independent and making all your choices and creating all these preferences for themselves, because we saw their lifestyle experiences that they wanted to create. We carry that over when it comes to the caregiving side, where they can't express their preferences and choices. So we understand and we really model that. We actually have wellness coordinators in the independent living side that health navigation, as I was mentioning earlier, that we really understand what their preferences are. So when they get to the point where they may be more difficult to be able to express that, we know that we can accommodate their needs to the choices that they would like. I mean, I think that really matters to the people that we care for. And, you know, like, for example, and I'll say this, we have multiple dining venues. We have a main dining room. We have tasting rooms for bourbon and wine and other kinds of delights. We have outdoor seating lounge. We have a elegant Linux club for elegant dining. The sky deck is where the rooftop deck is, with the pool and outdoor social areas, 2 bocce ball courts on the rooftop deck. There's aerobics and a movement studio, so we can keep everybody active and going. We actually have a full-time fitness coach, outpatient rehab on the campus. I mean, so, and believe it or not, we have a full service massage center and beauty salon. So
okay,
so,
Joel,
I mean,
wait. What's the earliest we can move in, man?
So
I
saw something. I see a tequila room. Absolutely, whatever works. So, but here's the thing that I will say is that most often the people that, if you're in between 55 to 70 years of age, you're oftentimes still traveling a lot. You're visiting your grandkids, or you're having to pay your grandkids tuition at their school. Just saying. Our target market is typically 75 to 80 years of age. That's when they start to be able to say, listen, I've been enjoying the world that's this big, and I need to condense my world down to this big, but I don't want to give up the experiences of the world just by condensing my world down. So that's what we try to do in the design of our communities, to be able to continue to give them all that enjoyment and experiences that they had before, so they don't feel like they're giving up their liberties and independence.
Wonderful. That's fantastic. And it's like a cruise ship on land, if I recall
Ah,
correctly.
yeah, you're exactly right.
Awesome. We were only scheduled to go for about an hour, but there's so much more to discuss. So we might have to have you back, Joel. And Richard,
I'd
I
love
would
to.
love for you to join us again as well. I feel like we're just getting started, but I think we promised an hour, so I don't want to take up too much more of everyone's time. Um, I wonder, let's see, Richard, perhaps you would like to share a little bit more about where people can get to know you more, where people can see where you're investing, and guide them that way.
Yeah, I think the reason why you invited me here tonight was really just to kind of like, first of all, show up and say hello to a lot of familiar faces. So I've done that. So it's great to see so
Thank
many
you.
familiar faces, and I really mean that. I'm really excited because I've launched a number of money mentorship, financial coaching, and real estate investment, conversations that you've been delighted to be a big part of. So I'm happy to come back. I like to focus on just really helping people build out, grow, preserve, and protect their portfolios. And all I've been doing for 3 years now is working with people who've gone from one door to 100, from 100 to 1,000. And I'm just copying what they're doing. And that's how I found a brilliant mind like Joel to be one of the many pieces in my arsenal to be able to use and leverage when it comes to doing just that. So I love to come back, share, what some of the investors who've gone from 1 to 100, from 100 to 1,000 are doing. I'll share exactly how they're doing that in the U.S. As well as across Canada, by the way, and more importantly, share with you the turns to take and the big divots to avoid. But I definitely want to say that for tonight, to put a pin in it, if I may, the active adult care space, finding someone with a vision and a passion like Joel. Finding someone who's got the reputation, the street cred, the profile, and the ability to find, procure, develop, build out, then manage and operate profitably. As you know, Joel, and I'm saying this for public record, myself and my clients were first money in. And I remain one of the most evangelistical about Lifestar and his partners and what they're up to, because I really believe that building a portfolio that profits and with purpose is precisely what I think is the next chapter for anyone who's seeking the next level of investing.
And Jennifer, can I say one last closing comment?
I know of course. It's not going to be the last.
Some questions are coming through about how to invest. So Richard is our guy. He's our lead investor for a major fund that we're trying to raise to be able to do 8 to 10 of these properties. They are Florida based because I've served on the Governor's Continuing Care Advisory Council. I just finished up serving as the chair of Leading Age Florida, which is a state association for senior living properties. We want to build the human capital component of being able to execute high quality communities is very dependent on the geography that we want to be able to operate on. So before we explore going outside of Florida, we really want to be able to create a solid foundation in our operating model on these 8 to 10 properties in Florida. So we're very, very committed to that. And we think that that's going to give us a lot of advantage and shared resources between the properties and maintaining that strength overall in our brand. And as Richard knows, our business partner, David Falk, is a master of brands. And so that's something that he feels very important to our Lifestar model. So I look forward to sharing more information about that later on.
I'm going to totally put you on the spot before we say goodnight to everybody, because I'm sure they got dinner on the stove or in the microwave, or they've already called it in because they're skipping the dishes if you're Ken Klineftakis. But check this out. Do you think we can talk David Falk into coming on a call to meet all these people here at the REWL?
It can be, but Jennifer, you'll have to at least give him an hour just to be able to speak for himself.
I would love that.
I mean, he really is. I mean, and everybody will just sit there and listen. He has some of the best stories, from a leadership and impact standpoint. And while he was the professional agent for Michael Jordan that most people know him as, he is so successful in so many different ways. And it's not because he understands balance sheets or that. he understands brand and marketability. And I think from a real estate perspective, I can't imagine somebody being more valuable than that.
So who here,
Awesome,
just go in the chat room before we let you all go, because it depends on feedback here. If you'd want to hear what David Falk, one of the world's most profound minds in brand and marketing, the guy behind Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, here's a guy who knows how to raise money, billions of dollars. I mean, I totally bow to him, and we're happy to call him a friend and our partner. Let's see. All right.
Oh my gosh, this is a resounding yes.
All right. So you know what? So listen, I put you on public pressure there, Joel. We're gonna go and have to wrestle him down to the ground. We'll let you know, Jennifer. But I think you're right, Joel. You and I've got to step aside and let's just hear at his stage and state in life. He just turned 71. He just won a prestigious award. Google him, David Falk, F-A-L-K, and you'll learn that this man is heading into his second and best chapter ever, if that first one wasn't already amazing. So let's hear from an expert investor who's discovered your asset class and why I'm in it too in a big way. Let's hear what he has to say, maybe at your leisure.
So don't ever use that word 71, because none of us can keep up with this guy. I mean, I'm telling you, he's absolutely amazing. I mean, I get calls probably two to three times a day, but I'm exhausted. Like this time of the night, I'll be going home and he'll be calling me at 10:30 and he's high wired and he's ready to go. And I'm like, seriously, dude, you got to go to bed. I mean, I'll talk to you in the morning. So, but it's great to be able to be in business with people like that. They're so inspiring, and Rich, knows that as well. I mean, he's just an amazing person.
Yeah, he is.
Well, and that's probably one of the reasons why these communities are so resort style too, hey? Because there's lots of activity going on behind there.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a master at branding.
Thank you. We'd love to have him on. We'd love to have you both back. Again, there's so much more to discuss. And just to ground us in our Real Estate Wealth Lab, our real estate cycle formula as we close out, because I just want you to be grounded in this one more time, is that there are different ways of looking at a real estate cycle. And those GDP, the economic, because Joel, we didn't get to it today, but how you assess a market is completely different. I'd actually like to have you back just to talk about your market analysis, because it is totally different. And this is why we've redesigned that real estate cycle formula to GDP might not matter.
Yeah.
Or matter less, at least. Jobs might not matter as much. Population demographics might matter more. So I'd love to have you, Joel, back to talk about how you do that. I think that would be really important for us. And then also, I know that there's been lots of questions about how do you invest in real estate and visas and all of that. Guess what? This is only just the beginning. So we absolutely have you covered. Mona, I know you were asking about the B2 visa. We've got everything you need, from visas that you require, or you may not even require them at all. Like, it really, invest with, an existing company. You don't need that. So all the way up to how to become an issuer, and all of the securities contacts that you need. Isn't that right, August? Ava, I know you've got that going on. We've got that going on. There's lots of us that are going next level with our portfolios. So we've got that for you. And come out then to our research lab on November 24th, because that will be a lot of these kinds of questions. So thank you. I know also many of you are asking, how do they invest with you, Joel? How do they get in touch with you? So, and any of our speakers with Rich as well, we'd love for you to continue with keeping in touch with us, and it's info@realestatewealthlab.com, and we will connect you with Rich. We'll connect you with Joel. We'll make sure that you're handled. So info@realestatewealthlab.com.
Great. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everybody. So grateful to be with you guys this evening. Bless you, Andrew. And good to see everybody here. So thank you for having me, Jennifer. Thanks,
and
buddy.
Thank you. We'll see you again, both of you.
Okay.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.